my name is Elisa and welcome to my channel where I'll be recording my low buy year for 2020. If you like to see more regular updates and mid-size styling tips, you can follow me on Instagram at Silk Suitcase. So today's video is going to be about something I hear all the time on YouTube fashion channels, which is, I bought this bag as an investment. I bought this sweater as an investment. If I know anything about investing, which is not a lot to be honest, but I think you need to buy something at a lower price and actually be able to see it rise and fall and then hopefully sell it at a higher price than what you bought it for. So I've seen firsthand 3 cases where this is actually possible. The first case is, let's say you are able to get a coupon from a department store, or you're able to go to Europe, use that exchange rate, use that D-tax, and buy an item for cheaper than the retail price back home, and then sell it at a higher price. In that case, because you got the purchase price for cheaper and the retail price is actually higher, you can actually call it an investment. The second case is some sort of artificial lack of supply. So you can think about like a Supreme drop where only 100 or 1,000 of those hoodies get dropped, but then the demand for it is super high. So on secondary markets like StockX and eBay, they'll sell for 500% of their original cost. And that way, if you're a reseller, you can definitely make a lot of money. And the third case, which is the one that you're probably most used to hearing, is about bags like the Hermes Birkin bag, where, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago it was $2,000 and now it's $10,000. And even if you've had this bag for 20 years, you can still somehow sell it for $5,000, which makes you a pretty hefty profit even with inflation. It doesn't happen very frequently. It only happens with a handful of Chanel and Hermes bags and not even all of them. And I sold 21 things in 2019. And to just go over why I sold these items. So I have about 40 bags in my closet right now, which means that given any year, any 365 days, I can only wear them each realistically about 9 times. If I get more than that, then I don't know what I'll be able to do. So the key is really to find a better home for them where they'll be used more often. There are 4 reasons that I sold these bags for. So I will be inserting either Instagram pictures of me wearing this item, or I'll be inserting pictures from the web of this item. So in the first category of used a lot but trendy and doesn't last the test of time, I have the Mansur Gabrielle bucket bag, the Celine Trapeze, the Mulberry Alexa, and the Chloe Faye. The next category was I used it only a couple of times and they're too trendy. So in many ways, this is just a bad purchase. This would be the Theory Whitney crossbody, the Burberry toggle jacket, the Gucci Ophidia Supreme belt bag, the Givenchy boots, the Mansur Gabrielle circle bag. I have a smaller version of this actually, which I use a lot more. And then the MCM knit brocade. I have a Louis Vuitton Petite Malle right now. And the next category is the ones that I used, but I prefer others because they're too similar. So the first would be the Celine luggage tote. I prefer the Hermes Birkin. The Balenciaga Velo, I have a smaller version, that's a town bag. The Celine Phantom Cabas, I have a smaller version in black. The Chanel Coco handle, I have a cream Chanel mini. The Burberry double-breasted jacket, I have a black Max Mara jacket I prefer. The Chanel wallet on a chain in pink, I have a pink mini. Lastly, for the ones that are just straight up uncomfortable, these are the Louis Vuittons. These are the Nude Simple 100 Louis Vuittons, the Black Pigalle 100 Louis Vuitton. If you have any other further questions about why I sold any of these, if you were thinking about buying them, you can leave those in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Now for the main meat, where we're actually going to analyze a spreadsheet that I made. Spreadsheets. Obviously this is a very small data set because there's only 21 items here, so I can't make any overarching claims that I am definitively right, but this is based off of my own experience. If you have more experience and you want to insert your information into the spreadsheet so that we can have a bigger data set, let me know and I'll put that in there. But basically, there are 3 big takeaways from this that I wanted to look at. One, what's the average value that luxury goods actually keep at? 2, do more expensive goods keep more value over time? 3, and if there's a large increase in the retail price of that item, does that keep its value better? I'll have a spreadsheet in the description box below for you to follow along. But we can talk about, for all of these items, which ones could actually be called an investment. And spoiler alert, there's really only one. And you can see that when I'm filtering the spreadsheet by the difference, which is the purchase price minus what I was actually able to take home, the only bag that was an investment was the Chanel wallet on a chain. So 2013 was a year where the exchange rate was very low in France, and on top of that, I was able to get a detax because I was in France, and so I was able to buy that bag for $1,160. I think at that time it must have retailed in the US for about $1,500. So I was already buying both 1 and 2 in the list of reasons I was giving above. And then I had that bag for a long period of time, and recently I'm able to sell this bag for about $19.50, and even with the commission cut that The RealReal gets, that means I get to take home about 70% of that price, and that means from my purchase price to my sell price and what I take home, I'm actually able to gain $187. Investment right there. Is that a good investment? Okay, so actually, arguably, the highest savings interest is probably like Ally Bank right now, which is about 2.2% or something like that. So actually, the $187, even with the power of compound interest, I did a little bit better. But if I had taken that money and put it into index funds, which, usually are about like 7 to 10% guarantee, and even if I just put no extra money into there, I think I would have gotten at least like $800, $900 back at that 10% rate, which is a lot more than $187. So in that way, even with the most basic index fund investment, it was not a good investment. But it is kind of cool that I used this bag for over 6 years, and if I take my cost per wear, that means every single time I wore it, I actually was gaining $3 every time to wear it, if you can call it that. And so in that way, because I have used it a lot, some might want to argue that yes, it was a good investment. I'm gonna go over the columns so that you can go over this on your own later, starting from the left to the right. So the first column is just the item name. Then we have the time range that I owned this item for, and then that is the number of years in the next column. The purchase price basically is the price that I purchased it at, which includes if I got it on sale or if I got a tax refund from purchasing this abroad. The current retail price is what this sells for in 2020 today if you went into a store to buy it. I have noted if it's discontinued, and in that case, it's just the highest retail price that it ever hit. The sell price is the price that somebody actually bought this item for. The reason it's different from the take home is that there's usually a cut that eBay, Fashionphile, or The RealReal takes, and so I get about 60 to 90% of the sale price. The next column is the profit, which you'll see is all negative except for one item. The next column is depreciation per year, which means that for every year I own the item, how much value was the item losing every year. Obviously, the depreciation really varies based on the number of years I owned it. If I owned it for longer, it depreciates less per year. And if the item value was higher, then the depreciation is also higher as a result. The next column is my cost per wear based on the purchase price minus the take-home price. So this is basically saying after I recoup some costs back from selling the item, how much did it really cost me to wear it every single time? And then the last two columns are just for your interest, which is where I sold it on, which is going to be either eBay, The RealReal, or Fashionphile. And then why I sold it, I have a legend below that goes over the similar things that I said earlier in the video. So the first question I had was, do more expensive goods keep value more? So I made a scatter plot graph, And you see on the x-axis, we have the purchase price that I bought the item for. On the y-axis, we have the selling price as a percent of the purchase price. So there are a couple of outliers here, but overall, if you look at the general trend line, you'll see that all the data points are higher at the left-hand side and then lower on the right-hand side. So this would suggest that actually, as the purchase price increases, your selling price as a percentage of purchase price actually decreases. So that goes to say you shouldn't think that, oh, if I bought a more expensive bag, it's going to hold on to more of its value. Actually, if you go to the third tab, I've calculated my percentage of purchase price on average, and it says that my bags tend to keep about 66% of their value. The next question I had was, do goods that increase in retail value keep their value? Again, let's look at the graph. On the x-axis, we have the percent increase, and on the y-axis, we have the selling price as a percentage of purchase price. So you'll see here on the x-axis, as the price of the bag increased over time for the retail price, the selling price as a percentage of the purchase price is also going up. So this really goes back to prove the first three things I talked about. So now that we've gone through all of this, you might be wondering, so how does this affect us in the future? I have 3 takeaways for us. The first is stop regarding luxury buys as investments. Unless you're really a reseller or you're planning on selling a Birkin, I think it's more likely that your item is not going to be an investment. That being said, it's not wrong to buy nicer, high quality goods that are going to be useful to you, that you love more, that you're going to use for a longer period of time. So think about it this way. If I bought a sweater that was $30 and I had to rebuy it every single year because I wear it so much, it pills, it gets holes, in that case, then I would be spending $150 and throwing away 5 sweaters at the end of 5 years. Conversely, if I had bought a $100 sweater that was going to last me 5 years, then I would be saving $50 and also throwing away 4 less items of clothes at the end of 5 years. That is a little bit better for our planet. It is a little bit better for your wallet, and in that way it was a good decision to get that sweater. You weren't investing in anything because you couldn't go and sell that sweater for $500 after 5 years, but it was a good decision for you. Tip number 2. So if you do go out and decide to buy a luxury item, it's always good to check the resale market to know how it holds its value. There is the case that you might never want to resell your items, in which case, fine, you don't have to do this. But if there's even a chance of you wanting to sell this item in the future, it's good to know how it holds its value in the resale market. The third thing is when and if you go actually sell an item, these are the guidelines that I tend to follow. So the first thing is I always try to use my network, use Instagram to see if anybody else wants to buy that item from me directly, because that way I don't have to pay any third-party commissions. The second place I go to would be eBay. eBay takes a cut about 10%, and sometimes there's some PayPal fees as well. But in that situation, I'm going to be taking home a lot more than I would on a third-party website typically. And I tend to put things up on eBay for about 6 months until I move to another option. And then after that, if eBay really doesn't work, then I go to The RealReal, Vestiaire Collective, Fashion File, StockX, just to name a couple of places where I can resell the item. I typically find that sometimes these websites allow you to price the item a little bit higher because they have a luxury authenticator behind them. There's the brand that also awards a lot of trust for consumers, and therefore they can price items a little bit higher. So sometimes even if they take 30-40%, you might be a little bit closer to what you would earn on eBay. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and follow me on Silk Suitcase for more regular updates. And then hopefully I'll see you next week for my first low buy year check-in. And good luck to all of your New Year's resolutions, and I'll see you soon. Bye!